Hello there, my name is Richard McMunn from the interview training website passmyinterview.com, and in this tutorial I am going to teach you how to pass a managerial interview. So if you are applying to become a manager with any company or organization whatsoever, make sure you stay tuned because I will help you to pass. And to achieve that goal, this is what I will cover. I am going to give you a list of 21 managerial interview questions that I strongly recommend you prepare for. I am confident that if you watch this tutorial from beginning to end, you will pass your manager interview. I will then give you unique top scoring answers to all 21 questions. I will also give you some really important tips on how you can stand out during your managerial interview, and I will then tell you how you can access further resources, including these slides and the answers, to help you succeed. And just very quickly, please don't forget to connect with me on LinkedIn. I have put my LinkedIn link in the description below the video. It's always good to connect with like-minded professionals such as yourself. Please don't forget to subscribe to this channel. I am on a mission to help as many people as possible to pass their interviews. I can only do that if you are subscribed. And please just give the video a thumbs up because that tells me you find the content useful. Thank you very much. Let's start working through those 21 managerial interview questions and the answers. Now, the first question that you need to prepare for is tell me about yourself. And in your answer to this first managerial interview question is to focus on the diverse range of skills, qualities and experiences you have that will enable you to be an effective and high-performing manager for their company. So here's a great example answer to assist you. Tell me about yourself. Here we go. Over the years, I have built up considerable skills and attributes that have enabled me to become a competent manager. I am a decisive decision maker. I have the tools and resources needed to get the most out of my team. I am a strategic thinker, and I always seek to continually improve and grow within any managerial role that I occupy. For example, in my last managerial position, I helped the organisation implement a new set of operational policies and procedures that enabled the company to not only improve operational efficiency, but also increase turnover by 20%. Now, there comes a significant amount of responsibility with being a manager, and in the work that I do for your company, I will always put your commercial and financial objectives above everything else. That is a brilliant answer, and it will set you apart from the other candidates. Question number 2 of your managerial interview. Why do you want to be a manager? Now, becoming a manager is a big step in terms of the level of responsibility you will have. And perhaps the best way to answer this common managerial interview question is to say that you will relish the challenge the role presents and that you genuinely believe you can make a significant impact within the role. So here's another great answer to help you pass your interview. Why do you want to be a manager? Here we go. I want to be a manager primarily because of the level of responsibility that comes with the position. We spend a lot of time at work, and I want to be in a role where I can influence the success of the organisation that I am a part of. Now, being a manager is challenging, and you have to constantly think on your feet. You must always try to be one step ahead of everything, and you have to use effective motivational and leadership skills to persuade your team to believe in your vision. Now, over the years, I have studied other managers to see how they make the decisions they do. I have also read numerous books and studied online courses to ensure I have a broad knowledge base of different management techniques and ideas that are at my disposal. Now, if you hire me as your manager, I am entirely confident you will quickly see a positive impact within the organisation and the team I am responsible for. That is another rock solid positive answer that is going to help you to pass your interview. Now, don't go anywhere because I still have another 19 managerial interview questions and answers to give you. But when you're ready, if you want to click that link that is in the top right hand corner of the video, it takes you through to my website passmyinterview.com, and you can download this full set of 21 managerial interview questions and top scoring answers. Okay, here is the next question that I want you to prepare for. What are the most important qualities needed to be a manager? Now, instead of giving a textbook answer to the common managerial interview question, give a response that demonstrates you have considered carefully the qualities needed to help their organisation thrive from a committed manager's perspective. So here's another great example answer to help you pass your interview. What are the most important qualities needed to be a manager? Here we go. The most important qualities needed to be an effective manager include strong communication and interpersonal skills. You must always communicate your vision and ideas with purpose and clarity. You must always try to build strong relationships with your team, with the senior management team, and with external stakeholders and partners. You need decisive decision-making skills and an innovative approach to solving problems. Now, whenever problems do occur, which they inevitably will do as a manager, you must assess the risks to the organisation, weigh up your options based on the facts, and make a decision that is in the best interests of the business. You need strong leadership qualities. Your team will rely on you to provide direction, motivation, and reassurance when times are tough. You also need strategic thinking skills. Now, this means you must be capable of looking at the wider picture and remember that decisions, whilst sometimes unpopular, should always be focused on enabling the company to achieve its commercial goals and financial objectives. Finally, you need to be a good organizer and planner. Be capable of delegating tasks to the most suitable people within your team and be prepared to mentor your staff. As a manager, you have a responsibility to help your team grow, develop, and ultimately achieve their full potential. I love that answer because it is in depth in nature and you are talking about the various different qualities that are needed to be a great manager. Here is the next question. Describe your management style. Now, there are so many different management styles to use. However, in my 29 years experience as a manager and a leader, I believe it is best to use a combination of styles that are suitable for specific situations that you may find yourself in as a manager. Now, the more common management styles include autocratic, authoritative, pace-setting, democratic, transformational, coaching, and laissez-faire. So here's another great answer to help you. This is how I would answer this difficult managerial interview question. Describe your management style. There are several management styles I will draw upon depending on the situation I am in. Primarily, I am an authoritative style manager who outlines to his team what is expected of them, by what time, and to what standard. I will then support and motivate my team moving forward to ensure we achieve the organisation's goals. I am also a transformational style manager who embraces change positively and who encourages his team to always seek improvement and development. Finally, I am a coaching style manager who will train, motivate and develop his staff to ensure they reach their full potential. That's a really good answer because you have a broad range of management styles that you can tap into. Question 5 of our 21 managerial interview questions and answers. How do you motivate people? Now, one of the main responsibilities you will have as a manager is to motivate your team to achieve tight deadlines and to complete challenging tasks and projects. Now, in my experience, the best way to motivate a team is to give them the right training to do their jobs properly, to ask them for their input when discussing tasks and projects, to give them a clear and concise brief on what needs doing, and then to praise good work when it is delivered. So here's my example answer to help you. How do you motivate people? I motivate people by communicating with them clearly and concisely. If people know what is expected of them and to what standard, they will do their jobs properly. I motivate people by asking them for their input. If you value people's opinions and you empower them to get involved with tasks and projects, they will feel valued and appreciated. Finally, if you give people the right training to carry out their work to the necessary standard and you praise good work when it is completed, your team will always do a great job for you. I fully understand how important it is to be a strong motivator as a manager, and I can be relied upon to get the most from any team. So that's another really good answer. And you can see how these are 100% going to help you to pass your managerial interview. Here is the next question that I recommend you prepare for. Tell me about a time you led by example. This is a common question. Now, when you answer this managerial interview question, my advice is to use the STAR technique, which is situation, task, action, and result. Now, good examples to give include where you insisted on high performance, where you demonstrated good safety standards within a team, and where you pushed a team hard to achieve a difficult time frame for the completion of a project. So here's my example answer to help you pass your interview. Tell me about a time you led by example. Here we go. In a previous managerial role, I was leading a team of people to complete a challenging project for a client that had a very tight deadline. Now, partway through the project, one of our suppliers let us down, which meant we would not have sufficient resources to complete the project. Now, the people in my team suggested we should go back to the client to request more time. As a determined leader and manager, I disagreed. I told them we had a responsibility to get this project finished on time as promised, and we needed to find a way around the problem. Now, I allocated tasks to the people within my team to get this project back on track. One person was given the task of finding a new supplier, whilst another reassessed our schedule to calculate how much additional time we would need to commit to outside of the normal working day to make up for lost time. Now, 3 days later, we had found a new supplier and we had a brand new schedule of work that meant we could achieve our objectives. Once the deadline came around, we had successfully finished the project and delivered it to the client. Now, through leading by example and by not being a defeatist, I was able to motivate and direct my team to achieve our initial goal. And you can see there you are giving a specific example of where you led by example. Using the STAR technique, situation, task, action, result, it enables you to give a brilliant answer. Question number 7 of our 21 managerial interview questions and answers. How do you handle conflict between team members? Now, the most effective way to deal with conflict is to first and foremost let the team members resolve it themselves. Now, they are grown adults and they should be able to resolve their differences amicably for the sake of the team. And as their manager, just by subtly mentioning to those experiencing the conflict that you are aware of it is often enough to force them to act. If they fail to resolve the conflict, then you will need to step in and take control. So here's another great example answer to help you. How do you handle conflict between team members? Here we go. Whenever I join a new team as a manager, I let everybody know what is expected of them and the standard of work they must adhere to. Now, during those early discussions, I will outline what they must do whenever they experience conflict. I expect my team to try and resolve any issues or conflicts initially amongst themselves. They are mature adults, and as such, they have the skills needed to resolve any conflict for the sake of the team and the organisation. If they are unable to resolve their issues after trying, I will then step in and provide a resolution. That's a great answer. It shows that you are giving your staff the power to resolve situations themselves, but that you are not afraid to step in if required. Question number 8. Tell me about a time you had to deal with a difficult employee. Now, this interview question is assessing your confidence and managerial skills to see if you can achieve a successful outcome. In your answer, show the interviewer you have the confidence to deal with the problem head on to achieve your goal. Remember, the rest of your team will be watching to see how you deal with the situation, so you must take appropriate action. Here's my example answer to help you. Tell me about a time you had to deal with a difficult employee. I started work as a manager in a previous role, and during the first few weeks I monitored how the team performed. One member of the team was always slightly late for work, and he appeared disinterested in routine tasks and projects. I decided to speak to him about my concerns, so I sat down with him in private and I asked him how long he had been with the team and what his aspirations were. He said he'd been with the organisation for 7 years and that he had no interest in developing his career. He went on to say that work was a means to an end and that he'd rather not be there. No matter what I said to him, he wouldn't change his mindset. After I tackled the issue of punctuality, I started to give him small tasks that I felt were based on his strengths. I got the impression he was a creative person, so I asked him to get involved in marketing projects where his strengths would be put to better use. Now, within a few weeks, I started to see a significant improvement in his work ethic and his attitude. He was starting to enjoy his work more, and moving forward, I ensured that I allocated more tasks to him that I knew he would enjoy and thrive in. When I eventually left the organisation to take up another post, he was an enthusiastic and productive member of the team. That's a great answer that shows that you can use subtle managerial skills and qualities to help get your team on board. Question number 9 of our 21 managerial interview questions and top scoring answers. What would you do within the first few weeks of starting as our manager? This is a great question. If you have a dedicated plan in place of what you are going to do once you start working as their manager, this demonstrates exceptional organising and planning capabilities. The following answer will work for all managerial job interviews. Here's my example response to help you. What would you do within the first few weeks of starting as our manager? I already have a plan in place of what I will do if I'm successful. I will do 4 things. Number 1, I will sit down with the senior management team and obtain a brief of what they need me to do and what they need me to work towards and what the commercial and financial aims are of the company. Number 2, I will spend a week or so monitoring and observing the performance of my team. I will not make any changes to the way the team operates until I have seen them at work for myself. Number 3, I will then sit down with each team member and carry out a performance review to assess their strengths, their weaknesses, and their career aspirations. This will give me an indication as to their abilities and what they want to achieve in their career. Finally, number 4, I will sit down with my entire team and outline my plan of action, where we are heading as a team, the changes I want to make, and what they all need to do moving forward. Now, this is also the stage where I will set the standards expected of the team. Now, if you were going to hire a manager, you'd want them to have a plan in place of what they are going to do when they start, and that is the perfect plan. Question number 10. What are your strengths and weaknesses? Now, this question is guaranteed to come up. It is always asked during managerial interviews. Therefore, you must give an answer where the strengths are aligned to the job description and your weakness is not. So my advice is to tell them about 4 or 5 managerial and leadership strengths that you have, and then just one honest weakness that will not harm your chances of success. Here's a great example answer to assist you. What are your strengths and weaknesses? My strengths include my decisiveness, confidence, and resilience. I can be relied upon to make tough decisions that help the organisation meet its objectives. I am not afraid to make unpopular decisions. Other strengths include my flexible and adaptable managerial style. This gives me the advantage whereby I can change my management approach to suit the individual or the situation I am in. I am also a commercially focused manager. This means anything I do as your manager will always be geared towards helping you achieve your strategic vision. Regarding my weakness, this is the fact I get impatient with others. Whether it's a member of my team or an external contractor or supplier, if someone does not work to the same standards as me straight away, I feel frustrated. However, I am learning to not only be more patient as a manager, but to also use good communication and coaching skills to get the person or persons to work at pace and to a higher standard. And I am certainly becoming a better negotiator in that regard. I love that answer. You are taking action against your weaknesses. You are aware of your weaknesses, but you are also giving really good strengths that will resonate positively with the interviewer. Question 11. How would you deal with underperformance? Now, workplace underperformance is something all managers will have to deal with at some stage during their career. And in your answer to this common managerial interview question, show the interviewer you are confident in these situations and that you already have a plan in place of what you will do. So here's another great example answer to help you. How would you deal with underperformance? Here we go. Because I always set high standards from the get-go, I am hopeful any form of underperformance would be few and far between. As soon as I noticed a member of my team underperforming, I would speak to them to get to the bottom of the problem. I would use effective communication skills to find out what was wrong, and I would be initially tactful in my approach. Now, the person may be experiencing personal issues, or they may not feel they have the right training to do a particular task. Once I had determined the cause of their underperformance, I would put a plan in place of what I expected from them moving forward and within what timescale. I would then monitor the individual closely during the transition period to ensure they were improving as expected. If the member of my team was experiencing personal problems, I would support them and request their permission to involve the organisation's human resources department so further help and assistance could be offered. That's another really good answer. Question 12. Tell me about a time when you failed as a manager. This is a difficult question. Do not say you've never failed, because we all fail at times, but it is how we respond to these situations that defines us. Now, whenever you make a mistake, own it. It is your responsibility as a manager to learn from any mistakes so the same thing doesn't happen again, and that you become a better manager and a leader as a result of that experience. So here's another great example answer to help you. Question 12. Tell me about a time when you failed as a manager. When I first started work as a manager, I went into the role being overconfident, and I ended up annoying some of the people in my team as a result. Now, I thought I knew everything, and instead of getting to know my team's strengths and weaknesses, I used an autocratic style of management which worked against me. Now, once I realised I had made the mistake, it was very hard work to win back the support of my team. Although I did manage to win back their support, it was a mistake I learned a tremendous amount from. Now, whenever I go into a new team now, I always get them on board by being a supportive manager and by getting to know each individual's strengths, weaknesses and aspirations. Now, whilst I am not afraid to still use an autocratic style of management when needed, I prefer to motivate my team so they are self-starters and empowered individuals who have all bought into the team's vision and objectives. That's a great, honest answer, and it shows that you have learnt from your mistake when you failed. Question 13. Describe a situation when you had to deal with a team member who constantly opposed your ideas. How did you handle the situation? Now, this is a tricky managerial interview question to answer. It is assessing your managerial motivational skills. If you can win around difficult people as a manager, you are halfway there to achieving your goals. My advice again is to use the STAR technique to give a robust example of where you managed to deal with someone by using a tactful and clever style of management. Here's a great example answer. Question 13. Describe a situation when you had to deal with a team member who constantly opposed your ideas. How did you handle the situation? Here it is. I joined a new team as their manager, and one member of staff who had been with the company for many years constantly opposed my ideas. Now, I am the type of manager who prefers to obtain the input of my team when discussing large projects or ideas, because this empowers them to be involved in the journey of growth. More often than not, a team will come up with useful and creative ideas that help you to achieve your goals. It was my job to use my managerial experience to get him on board with my ideas and to use his strengths to the team's advantage. So I started by speaking to him in private, away from the other team members. I told him that I wanted him to lead on a sub-project, and I asked for his opinion on how he felt the project should be approached. Now, this method worked very well, because not only was I giving him the responsibility for an important task, he was involved in the decision-making process too. Now, from that day forward, he never opposed any of my ideas again, and he became a cooperative and integral part of my team. So that demonstrates you can use smart managerial skills to get what you want. Question 14 of our 21 managerial interview questions and answers. What's been your greatest management achievement? Now, my advice is to give an achievement where you helped the organisation you were a part of improve, grow or change. Now, good examples to give include turning around an underperforming team, helping your employer implement challenging changes to working practices, or even increasing sales revenue through innovative marketing methods that have not been used within the company before. Here's my example answer to help you. Question 14, what's been your greatest management achievement? Here it is. My greatest achievement was turning around an underperforming team. I'd gone in as a relatively new and inexperienced manager. My brief was to get the team working more productively and efficiently. Now, there were several experienced members of the team who initially made things difficult for me. They pushed back against every change I wanted to make. However, through perseverance, effective communication, and by using their experience and strengths, I was able to get them on board and help me to implement the changes. I held regular meetings with the team where we discussed the changes and the reasons behind them. By maintaining an open dialogue with my team and by not being afraid to answer difficult questions during these team meetings, I was able to make good progress. Now, eventually, there was an acceptance of the changes within the team and they became the norm. Another really good answer. Question 15. Describe a project you successfully managed end to end. What challenges did you encounter and what did you do to overcome them? Now, all managers, regardless of their position, must have an element of project management skills. Now, to manage tasks and projects effectively, you will need a clear plan of action, a good team around you whose strengths will help you to achieve your goals, and be willing to communicate clearly and concisely, and also be prepared to adapt to difficult and challenging problems as and when they occur. Here's a great example answer to help you. Question 15. Describe a project you successfully managed end to end. What challenges did you encounter and what did you do to overcome them? In my last managerial role, I was managing a team of people who were delivering an important project for a new client. Now, the client was extremely difficult to deal with. He was very demanding and he kept trying to change the project specification that we'd initially agreed to. 3 members of my team were becoming agitated by his style of communication and they began to question why we'd agreed to work with him in the first place. Now, during the project, I held regular meetings with my team to discuss progress and the challenges they were experiencing with the client. I explained to them how this project was an experience they should relish. The fact that the client was so difficult to deal with helped them to develop important skills they otherwise would not have had. By encouraging my team to use effective communication skills and by helping them to decide when the time was right to push back against the client's demands, I was able to help them grow and develop professionally. At the end of the project, once it was delivered to the agreed specification, my team agreed it was an invaluable experience to have and they took the skills they had developed forward onto other important organisational projects. Question 16. How would you prepare for an important meeting? Now, organising and running meetings is an essential skill needed by all managers. And this managerial interview question is assessing how you approach meetings, whether you have the organisational skills to plan them properly, and whether you can run the meeting to a successful outcome. Here's another great example answer to help you pass your managerial interview. How would you prepare for an important meeting? I would prepare by following specific steps, including choosing a venue that had everything we needed from a facilities perspective. I would book the room well in advance and inform all attendees of the date, the time, and the location. I would set a definitive meeting agenda and disseminate this to the attendees. Now, when setting the agenda, I would define what it was that I wanted to achieve from the meeting. Now, this would be important because meetings, if they don't have a definitive structure, can end up being a waste of everybody's time, including your own. Now, during the meeting, I would keep a strict check on time and I would maintain control. I would focus clearly on the meeting objectives and I would give people specific action points that needed to be completed before the next meeting. Now, once the meeting was over, I would quickly draw up the meeting minutes and deliver these to the attendees with the action points clearly defined and a date set for the next meeting. Now, I am sure you will agree that answer shows that you are an organised manager who can successfully prepare for, set up and run a meeting. Question 17. Tell me about a time when something went wrong at work and you took control. This is a common managerial interview question. Now, your ability to take control of challenging situations is guaranteed to be assessed during your managerial interview. Again, give a specific situation you've been in where you led by example and took ownership of a challenging problem or issue. Here's a great example answer to help you. Tell me about a time when something went wrong at work and you took control. I was responsible for customer service in a previous role, and we experienced a problem with one of our suppliers. Now, the supplier started to take longer in delivering products to our customers, and this resulted in negative feedback online for our company. Customers were placing orders and the supplier was failing to meet our agreed delivery times. This was not good for the reputation of our business, so I decided to take control. Now, before ceasing use of the supplier, I made contact with potential new suppliers, and I spent many hours during one particular day speaking to the company owners to explain how important it was for them to deliver on time, every time, to our customers. I eventually managed to find a new supplier who could start immediately delivering the goods and products on our behalf. Within the contract, I placed numerous clauses that were in our favour, and that enabled us to cease working with them immediately if they failed to live up to our expectations. Now, once they started work, I cancelled the contract with the old supplier, and customer service standards soon got back to our previous high standards. That's a great example where you identify a problem that is impacting negatively on your organisation and you take control. Question 18. Tell me about a time when you disagreed with a senior manager or company director. Wow, this is a difficult one. Now, do not say you've never disagreed with a senior manager or company owner. This managerial interview question assesses your levels of confidence to say if you don't agree with something and the method in which you do it. So here's a great example to help you. Tell me about a time when you disagreed with a senior manager or a company director. I recall being in a meeting with our company directors and discussions were taking place around the fact that we needed to find ways to reduce costs over the forthcoming 12 months. Now, the company was doing really well. However, we needed to increase profitability, and one way to achieve that goal was to reduce costs. It was suggested by one of the directors that we could save money by reducing the size of the customer service team. Now, we had 5 staff within that department, and he proposed to go down to 3 people. However, I felt this would be detrimental to the company because our reputation amongst our customers was formidable, and the main reason for that was the after-sales support we provided. I explained to the director the reasons why I felt this would not be beneficial to us moving forward. I provided examples of other companies within our sector that did not take their customer service as seriously as we did, and their online reviews and their sales reflected that. As an alternative, I suggested we could go down to 3 staff within the customer service department, but replace the 2 positions lost with an outsourced service dedicated to after sales. He agreed that we should explore this option further, and I volunteered to do the exploratory work to assess how viable this was, to which he agreed. Now, that shows that you're not afraid to say something when you don't agree with it, and you do it in a professional manner, and you also come up with an alternative, and that's really important. Question 19 of our 21 managerial interview questions and top scoring answers. How do you delegate tasks to your team? Now, another key skill required within any managerial position is the ability to delegate tasks confidently and competently. Now, before delegating, decide the task that needs completing, assess your team's strengths, provide a clear brief, and then monitor progress from afar. So here's my example answer to help you. Question 19, how do you delegate tasks to your team? One of the first things I always do as a manager whenever I start work in a new position is to assess the strengths and weaknesses of my team. This is important because it enables me to delegate tasks to the people within my team who are best qualified to do them. Before delegating any task, I will decide what needs to be done and by when. I will choose the person who I want to complete the task carefully. I will provide them with a concise and clear brief, and I will allow them to ask me any questions. Finally, I will then monitor the progress of the task from a distance and be on hand to provide support and advice if they need it. That shows that you are a skillful manager who knows exactly how to delegate tasks to your team. Question 20. Give an example of a time you initiated change. Change is an important part of an organisation's development. Now, if the people within a team do not initiate or embrace change, a company may stagnate or it may even go backward. Now, within your answer to this difficult managerial interview question, demonstrate to the hiring manager that you understand the importance of change and that you are not afraid to drive it through within the team you are managing. Here's a great example answer to help you. Give an example of a time you initiated change. I started managing a team within a large organisation, and after assessing how everyone operated and carried out their tasks, there were several things I wanted to change. Now, first and foremost, there were no performance reviews carried out. This meant the staff had no direction, and they were simply left to get on with their jobs. And although they were very good at their jobs, I was not comfortable with this. Secondly, how the team ordered office supplies was wasteful. I wanted to create a new office supplies ordering system that was more closely monitored. I sat down with the entire team and explained the changes I wanted to initiate, the reasons for the changes, and how these would be of benefit to the company. Now, initially, some team members objected to the changes because they felt everything they were currently doing was productive. I explained to them the importance of change, and I encouraged them to give my proposed changes a try, especially in respect of the performance reviews. Now, after discussing with my team openly and honestly how the changes were going to work and their potential benefit, everyone within the team agreed to embrace them positively. Now, 6 months after starting work as their manager, everyone agreed the changes had made a significant improvement to how they felt in their jobs and how the team performed overall. Now, in that example, you are able to initiate change because you are open and honest with your team and you are giving them the opportunity to discuss them with you. Question 21. This is really hard. What skills are you currently lacking to be an effective manager? Now, this is a tough managerial interview question to answer simply because it forces you to assess your weaknesses and any areas of improvement you need to focus on. And you cannot say that you already have all the skills needed to be an effective manager simply because nobody is the finished article. We all have something to learn. So be honest about your assessment of the skills you need to develop to carry out the managerial role to the necessary standard. Here's a great example answer to help you. What skills are you currently lacking to be an effective manager? Here we go. The skills I still need to develop are those around budgeting. Although I do have a little bit of experience managing team budgets, I still need to develop in this area. Now, in a previous non-management role, I was always keen to learn, and I used to ask my manager questions about how she managed the departmental budget. This gave me an invaluable insight into the importance of making sure the budget was spent wisely and that you ensure every purchase you make can be fully justified. I am always honest about the skills I need to develop, and I am keen to continually grow and develop professionally. It's a great answer that will do you no harm in your managerial interview. Now, the next thing to do is please make sure you click that link right now in the top right-hand corner of the video and head over to my website, passmyinterview.com. On that web page, you can download all of these answers. So you can have them within your inbox within 2 minutes from now. It saves you sitting there and writing them down and taking notes. You can download it in a PDF guide. It will be with you literally within 2 minutes, and it will make a massive difference to your performance at your managerial job interview. Don't forget to connect with me on LinkedIn. I've put my LinkedIn link in the description below the video. Please subscribe so you don't miss out on any of the content, and please do give the video a thumbs up. Thank you for watching, and I wish you all the best for passing your managerial interview. Have a brilliant day.